Yeah, I got some negative feedback on the blooper reel, which I think is hilarious because it's a blooper reel. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be a joke. But however, one of the things that the blooper reel, like a lot of comedy, does tend to show some truths about fighting, and it is not going to look like the movies. And real fights are ugly and clumsy and stupid. But I noticed that when I play this at an accelerated speed, which is what it would look like in a real fight, especially with the adrenaline dump, you're going to see people firing off shots at that kind of ferocity and speed and vehemence. Then kind of makes more sense. A lot of people don't understand Sistema does everything slow for the most part. A lot of their training and their reasoning is so that you learn to actually think while under duress. You learn to see moves and opportunities, and you move around with it. And sometimes, again, a lot of things aren't perfect. A lot of things aren't pretty, and you don't always get it right. And sometimes you do things, and it's also because, especially like knife disarms, a lot of that is straight up incidental. It's not like you're always going to get the knife disarm. And so a lot of times what you're trying to do is, for the most part, redirecting the armor, controlling it. And a lot of fights tend to go in situations where essentially you're just trying to jockey for position or time. And sometimes you get it. Sometimes you're controlling stuff because you don't really want to hurt your partner either. And sometimes you get partners who do dick moves like that, and they start punching his hands, and then stripping the knife eventually. But again, in real life, people are going to, not comply. There's a difference when you watch, let's say, Thomas or even Johnny to some degree. There isn't any compliance, or these guys, there's absolutely no compliance. And again, you speed this up, and it actually looks like a legitimate fight, and again, you got to remember that these two are not complying at all. I mean, if I play it slow, they're not complying. But at speed, this looks totally different. It looks actually more like a real fight. See right there. I mean, fights do tend to happen faster than you think, and this is what they usually look like, especially when the adrenaline is in the equation. It's interesting to look at Sistema speeded up because it looks like a brawl, and that's fine by me. So when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about some of the commentary because a lot of people don't get it, and you can learn a lot by training slow. You can accelerate. It's one of the secrets of why Sistema is so easy to learn is you train slow so you can learn fast. You train slow so you can see what's going on. See, I just lost my structure there, and then in a real violent altercation, there's no promise that you're going to keep your structure in a fight. And again, there's going to be times you'll take a few hits before you know what's going on. There's another thing to think about. And maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. I got other things I plan on showing you. Mostly, other things I plan on showing you just because, how to handle multiple assailants does tend to change a little bit. I mean, this is kind of what happens for most people that, have some training, will fight off 2 or 3 people. And, looking at the progress here, it's just, we walked it through, but I decided to accelerate it so you kind of see what's going on. And it will accelerate. These two will get going. But here's another point to look at between a compliant person and a non-compliant. Thomas is definitely non-compliant. He's actually fighting with me, and that's okay. I mean, it's just, it's interesting. Now you watch Matt. Matt's totally, he's been a Yuki and Uke for a long time, and that's totally the case here. Watch, you'll see in a moment. And that's fun and all. It helps you learn your techniques, and Thomas helps you get your timing right. So that's cool to do when you do train multiples. You should have one that's non-compliant and one that is. But when you're really beginning to learn, you should have both of them be very compliant just to start as training wheels, and then have them amp the resistance levels up, and then have them amp up usually the aggression. You can do that slow, and then change it up, just amp up speed, but have them with a little more control. And see, he came out of nowhere with a stick. It wasn't like I asked him to bring a stick. I was not supposed to have him train with a stick. It was supposed to be punches and knives, but he came out with a stick. So I improvised by using his own hat. And I did a disarm with a hat. Straight up a Sistema. Did a disarm with a stick. Was it risky? Hell yeah, it was risky. And again, I'm just doing the old double pushy hand stuff, trying to handle and fend them off and throw them into each other, because you can do that, especially if you're bigger than the other two. But you can. And again, you throw kicks, there's a good chance they're going to get caught. And I've managed to maintain and regain structure best I can. And as I go through this, I'm reminded of how hard it is in real life to really do everything perfect, especially if you got people not really complying. And that's quite all right. Like I said, I'm okay with them not complying, because that's part of reality. Is really, fights are the epitome of resistance, and compliance is the opposite of fighting. And like I said, I would have took a shot to the back of the knee there, but since he's hitting soft stuff, I mean, I doubt it would have really hurt as bad as if he hit me across the kneecap. But yeah, years of capoeira, you'll spin around kicks all the time just to avoid them. Now, using a bone, I had a bone, I threw it at him.